So I made a video about things that I love or like about learning how to ride a motorcycle here in Africa. And now I'm going to kind of tell you some things that I hate about riding a motorcycle here in Africa. And hope you guys can forgive me if you are someone who lives here. So one of the things that I really don't like about learning how to ride here in Africa is there's a sort of a lack of a culture for personal protective safety. Why would I not like that? It's because when I go out and even when I choose my gear, I don't like standing out. I mean, people really, part of it is lack of people understanding how serious it is to not ride without gear, and part of it is just the lack of means, the lack of priority. And so one of the things that I really don't like is that people don't really prioritize personal safety gear. So, to people, me dressed in my motorcycle jacket, gloves, helmet, and boots and all that, I mean, I look like I really stand out, whereas in America or in the West in general, riding with personal safety protective gear, it's true that not everyone does it, but it's so common that it's kind of considered normal, like that you're going out with gear. Whereas here, it's like really common to see people just, riding on just random, could be even flip-flops and everything else, or shorts or, barely anything. It's just sort of awkward for me to be riding and you really stand out like a sore thumb. So even when I pick my gear, I don't really pick, maybe the gear that I like the most. I pick the gear that is more subtle. I pick a lot of black and things that, really don't stand out as much. So I really wish that there would be more concern and more thought about personal safety gear, and I don't, so I can feel more comfortable, and it's not considered, like I'm being weird because I believe in having personal safety. Oh, what's going on up here? The road might be blocked. Okay, can I go around, or is what? Okay, I think I can go around this. Okay, so how are we doing here? Oh boy. So this is kind of goes into the second point that really bothers me. I feel like riding here in Africa, I feel like I'm kind of forced to increase my skill level a little bit faster than I normally would. Okay, what's going on here? Am I supposed to be riding on this? I don't even know whether I'm supposed to be riding on this. This is kind of crazy. What I was trying to say is I really feel like riding here in Africa, it's interesting. It's a positive that the terrain can be so varied and it forces you to learn, but it kind of seems to force you to learn. It can in ways that you might not be quite ready for, but it's just a situation it's in. You could just find yourself in any kind of random area, random terrain, mud or steepness or hills or sand or wherever you may find yourself. And in America, you just kind of have a lot more nice asphalt. And if you want to go off-road, you could go off-road. But, it's usually like you have to kind of know all of it. And that's great and all. But sometimes you feel like you have to sort of like learn it all at once at the same time. Like, okay, I really want to get good on just normal road riding before now I want to do this like off-road enduro level stuff. I'm not saying I do enduro or whatever riding here, but it is definitely, you know, sometimes not for the tame of heart if you're just out starting to learn how to ride. So, okay, here we go. Oh, whoa. Yeah, I don't want to go off that. So apparently I really messed up here. I guess I could go around that way. Okay, I'm going to turn around. And I don't have a good entry point there. So you see here, like, I just encountered like this random road. This is like a new area. I haven't really... Oh, should I try that? Whoa. Okay. That was kind of insane. So I've never attempted something like that before. You guys saw it live. Not live, but you guys saw it right then and there. And that would definitely push me out of my comfort zone right there. And I just tried it. I didn't know if I was gonna fall over or whatever. You know, here I go from like normal street riding, and here I am like doing some kind of crazy stuff that I'm like, oh, I hope I don't tilt over, because I'm kind of a short rider on this bike, and I'm not very, you know, to on these kind of off-road terrains, when you're a short rider on a bike that's a bike that's a bit tall for you, you know, you have to be very careful, especially when you're attempting new stuff like that. So that's kind of one thing I hate, is like, I like it, I hate it at the same time, that I could be put in situations suddenly that I was not expecting, and I have to somehow overcome it, and hopefully maybe I may risk being injured, and hopefully I'm not injured. So yeah, I would say that's the other thing that I don't like about riding here. I mean, it's great when I achieve it, I pat myself on the back, but in the moment it's sometimes not the most happiest experience for me. The other thing I don't like about learning how to ride is that you kind of have to be, the parts here are not sometimes the best quality for the bikes that you can get. And if you want to get a nicer bike, you're not going to probably find parts. So you are a bit limited on the bikes that you can start riding and learning on. You kind of have to ride more of the local bikes, and again, you will then therefore deal with a little bit more lack of variety, so to speak. So like, I had thought about getting a different bike, you know, as I get used to these more local bikes, but I have to contend with, okay, like, where am I gonna, you know, get the parts for this bike? You know what I mean? Because I don't live in a place where it's just so easy. Oh, here we go, we're on gravel. So very, we've done dirt, we've done, you know, weird off-roading kind of stuff. Now we're on gravel. Yeah, it's a little bit different. So, and even, so I like that the parts are cheap, but sometimes they're also cheaply made. If you want to kind of like outfit your bike with, you know, customize it with certain things that are popular to do in the West. I realized that, you know, these bikes here, you know, you can't just go on Amazon, even if you could have it shipped here and get like, you know, special customizations for these bikes. Are just not, or they're just difficult to find. So that's kind of a little bit of a bummer, you know, the lack of variety. And once you do get kind of used to things, I mean, I get it in the beginning, you just want to, in the very beginning, you just want to, you know, get used to riding a bike. But with time, you may want to, you know, upgrade, try different bikes, and you're going to be a little bit sold out of luck, unless you go to the capital and then they have to order it for you, and it could just be a pain. So it's best to kind of stick with the local bikes to be learning, and not try to like really do much more than that, unless you're ready for, you know, either you find a bike that hardly everything ever goes wrong on it, and just take the risk that, hey, so if it does go wrong on it, it's going to probably be kind of a while or a difficulty for you to get it fixed. You might just have to live with it in certain things, if it's not too bad. another thing I don't really care too much for here. There's not only is there not really a safety culture regarding personal protective gear, but even the way that traffic flows is a little bit more. Traffic is a little bit more on the wild side here. As far as like people ride on the opposite side of the road, there's not really stoplights or even stop signs for the most part, and even in places where, in the large cities where there could be stop signs and traffic lights, people probably are not going to be really stopping, and it's sort of like the Wild West. You kind of have to accept that, and there isn't really clear rule of the road. I mean, there are rules, but they're just many times broken, and or the rules are a little bit more on the relaxed side, shall we say. So if you're a very organized person, it can be very stressful because you just never know. Like, you just think I should look to the left, but you probably should, here there should not be another vehicle that's randomly coming on the wrong side of the road. But here you really want to be able to do that because you want to be able to look, because you really don't know if a bike or a car or a truck or anything just happens to be where you would never think it would be. Like if you were learning how to drive in the U.S. So driving in the U.S. is a lot more ordered. That's another thing I really don't like, is how on your toes that you have to be. So even though cars are a lot more aware of motorcycles, but because of the traffic patterns being so unpredictable and not really following a lot of rules at times, you just have to be extremely, extremely careful and looking in ways that you might not have to look in the West because of more predictable traffic patterns. That can make you a more alert rider because literally anything can come out of anywhere, but it's a part of driving here that I don't like. The other thing about learning how to ride here that I don't really like riding here is that you have to be very self-taught. In America, it's kind of common. In the West, people always want to give their 2 cents about how you should ride your motorcycle, what you should do, what you should not do, and you get a lot of wonky ideas. But there really isn't very much of a safety culture here where I am in Cameroon. There's not like easily for you to take a motorcycle course or to improve on your skills. And any kind of advice that you get, although I am very, I really think the way they drive here is very impressive. But the problem is that even though they drive in a very impressive way at times, that may not be the safest way for you as a new motorcycle rider to be riding. And you have people here who are balancing crazy things like motorcycles in mud and all kinds of slippery terrain. It's quite impressive, but the habits that people may tell you to do might not be the most scientifically tested, shall we say, of the best way to do it, especially if you're a new rider. Now, maybe more experienced riders can get away with doing certain techniques, but I really want to be more safe and by the book, and so I have to be careful. Like I kind of don't really ask people very much of how they ride because I don't want to pick up any bad habits, because there isn't really a culture here of learning how to ride. There's not really a culture here of motorcycle instruction and motorcycle safety principles as a rider. It's sort of like people just get on their bike, someone shows them, the basic ropes, and they let her rip, right? So I think that for me, that's been kind of a difficulty. Something I really don't like riding here. If I want to get training, I know I have to get it only in the U.S. for the most part, and that's just something if you are going to learn how to ride in Africa, you will have to be a little bit self-taught, or no, you probably have to go other places if you want to get training, or you got to do YouTube University, essentially, so to speak. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you maybe were not happy with some of the things I said in this video, don't worry. I also have another video that talks about 5 things to love about riding a motorcycle or learning how to ride a motorcycle here in Africa. So please check this out. You can check it out on the end screen or go to my channel where I have other videos that you can follow my progress as I learn to be a better and better rider as an American expat in Africa. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.